he would always make some jokes. He's like, "Yep, it's bison chest day today, Levine. Like, let's go." Like, and he would make like jokes like that. So it was cool, just to see that other side of him and see just how normal and down to earth he is.
Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Bianca Andreescu is a US Open champion. Shapovalov with the moment.
Leila Fernandez. It is another performance to remember for the Canadians.
All right, welcome back to North of the Net, a Canadian tennis show. Brendan, our co-host, is not able to be here today, had a last-minute emergency, but I am hosting today, joined by very legendary Canadian Jesse Levine. Are you still? I know you spend all your time in the U.S. now, but are you still Canadian?
I have dual citizenship, so you can call me Can-American, M-Can, whatever you want to do. But I still consider myself Canadian when people ask me. When I'm around the Canadians, the accent comes out a little bit more. So I'm a little bit of both, but I definitely got two passports, so it's a little bit of an advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever it suits you best, you're either.
Yes, exactly.
I get it. So we're joined by Jesse Levine. If you don't know who Jesse Levine is, he's an ex-pro, highest ranking, world number 69. Nice. And he has a lot of history with the man that we're talking about this week, next week, hopefully for a long time, paying our respects to Roger Federer. So we're going to get into that. But first of all, Jesse, how are you doing? And thanks for joining us here on The Slice.
I'm doing great. I've watched a bunch of episodes of The Slice. I'm excited to get the opportunity to be on here with you. Love what you're doing and just happy to be part of it.
Appreciate it, my man. We've had a lot of Canadians on the show. We've had Bianca Andreescu twice, Shapovalov, Milos Raonic. Now Jesse Levine is a new friend of the show. Another one. That's what we call people, friends.
Yeah, I love it. I'm definitely a friend and fan of the show, so both.
Amazing. As I was talking about before, we're kind of on the come up here. So anyone that basically looks at us in a favorable way, I call a friend of the show. So it's you joined a big crowd. Anyways, but we're talking about Federer obviously this week. I would love your kind of reaction to the retirement announcement. Just in general, did you see it coming this week? And just what are your thoughts on this kind of moment in tennis history?
Well, I mean, obviously my first reaction, I was sad because, obviously I had a relationship with him and, to the point where we were friendly and I got to spend a lot of time with him. And I was expecting it, didn't know when it was coming. I thought maybe he was going to wait until Wimbledon maybe to announce it and try and play one last Wimbledon, obviously just because of all the success and how much Wimbledon means to him in general. But, Federer did it in Federer way. He did it how he wanted to do it in the most classy way possible. And I respect him for it, and I think everybody respects him for it. Just the way he came out with that tribute video as well was extremely well done. Didn't want to go out, in a full, crazy showcase or anything like that. Just not his style. And to get a chance to do it at an event that he helped create at Laver Cup, I think is going to be pretty special to him. Even though no matter what, if we play singles, just doubles, whatever it is, it gives everyone, one last chance to really see him play in competitive format. And so I think ticket sales for London probably sold out pretty fast.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the sadness for me comes from the fact that he wasn't able to end it kind of on his terms. It's always sucks to see an injury kind of determine when he can't play anymore. But I guess that's, one thing I like to think of is, and you'll know a lot about this, but, people say he made it look so easy. He made tennis look so effortless, but I think you would know that he didn't play effortlessly. He was one of the most explosive players maybe ever on tour, just in the way he used his body. And I think, at 40 years old, his right knee, the big one that gets used just, couldn't take it anymore, which kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Well, I think, the biggest point you made there is as a professional athlete, it's so rare to be able to go out on your own terms, right? Just because of the stress and the training and the abuse that you put on your body day in and day out. I mean, that's how you make your livelihood is out there grinding, practicing, putting in the hours. And I think the thing that a lot of people never really got to see was Roger Federer behind closed doors. They saw him at the US Open or at Wimbledon or at Rogers Cup on the practice courts, going out there for 20, 30 minutes and just kind of light hit, get out there, get a little feel, and then he'd go out and be explosive, like you said, in his matches. But what they didn't really see was him in Dubai, training 3, 4 hours, 5 hours straight in the heat and the humidity, really putting in that work. And that's something that he never really showcased or talked about. It was all really kind of behind closed doors, and he put in that work. And something that I really learned a lot from him was that your subconscious always knows the truth. And when he was out there, putting in those hours and training, he said going into these tournaments, if he didn't put in that work, in his mind, he knew that he didn't put in the work. And when he put in that training blocks, like he would in Dubai before, the U.S. hardcourt swing, that's when he really knew that he was confident that, his fitness level was there, his tennis level was there, and he knew that in the back of his mind that he had put in the work. So when it was time to go deep in these matches, when it was 90 to 100 degrees out there, that was a piece of cake for him. And he looked like he was effortless, and he looked like he was not even sweating at times, but that was just him and how he went about things.
That's really cool insight. And yeah, people watching might not know, but you tell the story about how so Federer brought you out to train with him in Dubai and then multiple times after that. So yeah, I'd love a little bit of insight into like how he trained there. Like, was it like, how intense was he in his training? Like, was it all on court stuff, or was it a lot of like weights plus on court? And how were you involved in that? And I guess first, just started off with how you first got the call.
Yeah, the big league. I was in college at University of Florida my freshman year, and I was at study hall, and I got a phone call, and I didn't recognize the number, and I answered it, and it said it was someone from Roger Federer's team asking if I would be interested in going to Dubai and training with Roger Federer. I literally laughed on the phone and hung up the phone. I was like, yeah, good try. So I hung up the phone, and I thought it was my college teammates like playing a prank on me. Yeah. And so like 2 minutes later, the same number called me again. And they're like, no, this is really so-and-so, and we would love, for you. And I was really taken back. I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I thought it was my friends playing a prank on me. I didn't think it was for real. And obviously didn't even think twice about it. And he brought myself and my assistant coach from the University of Florida at the time. His name was Jeremy Bayon. And we went to Dubai. Next thing you know, like a couple weeks later, I'm on a flight from Gainesville to Atlanta, Dubai, and I arrive in Dubai, and I had never met him before. Obviously, I follow him, he was definitely one of my favorite players to watch. I didn't know if he had even known of me at that time. I mean, I wasn't even on the Pro Tour yet. Right. But he had heard, I guess, recommendations from different agencies and academies about my work ethic and personality. And so everyone thought that he brought me because I was lefty. And then I'll never forget our first practice. I pulled out the racket out of the bag. I had the racket in my left hand. He goes, "You're lefty?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, this is going to be great." So he was pretty excited about that. Obviously a lot of our drills were oriented for him, playing against Nadal and patterns of play. So it worked out really well for him and for me. But yeah, what an amazing experience and getting that phone call to go there and being able to spend, 2-3 weeks in Dubai with him.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's so you get there, you go from playing, college is great level, obviously. You're playing with other young guys. And I think, so you said that was 2008 to 2009. So he was probably in his mid-20s then, I guess, a little bit later.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I went 2008. Yeah, 2008. Okay.
So he was maybe number 1 or 2 in the world at that point. Yeah. But he'd been dominating the world of tennis for 5 years. So what was like the level difference for you, like as far as like pure ball hitting, like from like, you're training and practice with the guys in Florida, then you go to play with, literally the best there is. What was that like for you? Were you nervous? Were you like shanking balls to start, or did it take you like?
I didn't shank balls, but I was definitely nervous at the start. But I think the thing that really calmed me down the most was how down to earth and how nice he was to every single person, not only on his team, but even staff, there in Dubai that were just helping out, and just seeing that he was so normal and just a good guy overall, but more so even off the court than on the court, kind of relaxed me a little bit, because obviously, growing up watching him, you put him on a pedestal, and then all of a sudden you're right in front of him, meeting him for the first time, and you're actually there training with him. So definitely was nervous at first, but from that first practice, I think that we really hit it off just from almost like a friendship standpoint, where it was able to joke around. Then he loved talking about hockey, which obviously, me being
Nice.
from Ottawa was like a huge thing. So it was cool just talking hockey, and he was talking shop with me about that, and it was good fun and just kind of released the nerves a little bit. But I think from a training standpoint, obviously I trained as hard as possible. I mean, look, I wasn't 6'5" and hitting, huge serves. I had to work really hard to get where I got to. But seeing him and his mentality and training and, going for 3 hours, 4 hours straight is something that I never really expected, right? Because you see him on TV, you're like, oh yeah, he probably practices, like hour and a half, 2 hours and does it again in the afternoon. But really, he was really big on practicing once for a really long period of time because it simulated more of a match scenario. And I asked him point blank, I was like, why do you practice, 4 hours straight? And he goes, well, in a match, that's what happens. You're not going to get to take a break and then come back out there and do that. So I thought that was a pretty cool, easy reasoning and made a lot of sense to me. And, when you see him playing 5-set matches, that's why he's not struggling, because he's out there and he's practicing for 4 hours straight. I really can't think of too many matches where you saw him struggle physically. Even in the deep 5-set matches, he looked still like he was always pretty fresh. I mean, there was a couple matches where you could see him struggling, but never to the point where he's toast.
Yeah, and that was all. And if that did happen, that was always much later in his career, where he was like, it was obvious that 37 years old, you're gonna be getting pretty. I don't think he could. I don't think I remember him talking. In 2018 or 19, he couldn't do those trainings as much just because it was too hard on his body.
Yeah,
maybe to that degree. But that's really cool insight, because it kind of reminds me almost of like the Kobe stories of just putting in that extra work off court to then make it look easy on court. That's like,
and I'll relate it to Kobe a little bit, because it took a little while for him to trust me to see the drills that he was doing outside the tennis court. Because it was like, look, he didn't film videos of it. He didn't post it on social media. And obviously social media wasn't so big at that time, right? So obviously I would be on the tennis court, and then he would go to the gym, and I wouldn't see what he was doing in the gym at those times.
Oh, weird. And
then as it went on, then he would invite me in. He's like, okay, I can trust Jesse, So obviously he asked no videos, and I said, no problem. I mean, you have to respect that. So, but yeah, I definitely saw the stuff that he would do in the gym. He was really big as well on the court with doing like a fitness exercise and simulate it with like an actual stroke, and then go right to doing the same drill with a racket. He would do like it with a med ball, forehand cross court, forehand inside out with a med ball, and then do it again with a racket and really simulate that. And that was pretty cool for me to see that. So yeah.
Cool. That's really cool. And in the gym, was he doing like heavy lifting, or was it more kind of like
more functional? I would say more functional plyometrics, but yeah, there were times where he would, I posted like a post with a bunch of pictures of me when I went, and in one of the pictures he's actually wearing a sleeveless shirt, and all my friends like, I never thought I'd see Fed in a sleeveless shirt, but he would always make some jokes. He's like, it's buys and chest day today, Levine, like let's go, like, and he would make like jokes like that. So it was cool, just to see that other side of him and see just how normal and down to earth he is. So that's what made it so special for me, was like seeing that other side to him.
Yeah. No, I think that's what we've heard, in these last week or so, of people talking about the legacy that he's leaving. I think, and I've met him, through press, just brief, or I've been in the press with him. And that's what I noticed too. Like, he's walking through the hallway and he's like the most not normal guy ever, because literally other pros, other coaches are asking for photos with him. Like, I really don't know if there's any other athlete that has that type of aura around them. Like when they walk through their peers, like literally people that are trying to beat them. And then,
he has the it factor. He's got that it factor. I mean, but like, absolutely. There's certain people that like, when you watch them on TV, no matter what sport it is, and then you see them in person, they have that like star quality, and you see it and you're like, whoa, and you get like a little taken back. He's definitely one of them. I mean, Michael Jordan, when you see him in person, you'll get a little taken back.
Yeah.
Gretzky had that when I got to meet him in Montreal that one time. I was really taken back by that. And another one that I met one time in person that really stuck out to me that may throw you off a little bit is Terrell Owens. Because you saw Terrell Owens in person and you were like, whoa. I mean, the guy was like just an absolute unit, like specimen. He's just so jacked and just had that star quality about him.
Yeah, no, he had that quality, but then it almost seemed like he worked hard to just get down, like just to make people feel comfortable around him.
100%.
100%.
That's what he was. Look, I took my dad to the second time that I went with him. We went to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
And literally from that time on, I mean, we were eating meals with his family and everything, with his twin, everything, with his wife. And from that moment on, every time that I would be at the U.S. Open and my dad would be there, he would stop in the players' lounge and remember my dad's name and say hi, shake his hand, ask how everything's going, how's the family, like would take time out of his day and take time out of that moment. Even if it was for 30 seconds, it didn't matter. He would stop, shake my dad's hand and say, hey, Nathan, like, how you doing? How much fun was that in the Turks and Caicos? And my dad was like, really? Like, he didn't have to do that, but that's like incredible, you know?
Yeah.
So it was really cool just to see those little things. And those are the things that, you know, separate him from, you know, being who he is.
Yeah. No, that's really cool to hear. And that, yeah, I think so many people have gotten that, and that's just the way he is, which is just legendary status.
Yeah.
I know you got to run here, so let's transition away from Federer to Canada's Davis Cup. I know they've got a big performance in Spain. Did you expect them to make basically, you know, finish in the top two in that group? Because I know it was a tough group with Serbia and Spain in it, as well as Korea.
I think before Auger-Aliassime had committed to going, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but I probably wasn't expecting them, like most people, to finish, you know, top two in the group, even though, you know, you still had a solid team there. And the experience, there's something about Davis Cup and Pospisil that just clicks. I mean, Pospisil, every time he's needed, when that bell rings, he is game and he represents his country, and it's amazing. And I love watching Pospisil compete in that Davis Cup format, because there's nothing better than it than watching him do that and getting emotional and getting pumped up like that. But once Auger-Aliassime, you know, committed to playing, then it was a different ball game, because, you know, indoors in that scenario, like, Pospisil has the ability to really hold his own as well. And, you know, if there's any time to beat a new number one in the world who's young like Alcaraz, coming off, you know, such a huge victory in the U.S. Open, it would be right immediately after and have a little bit of drop off. So, and Auger-Aliassime looked extremely impressive, played so solid throughout that match, and it was just so fun to watch and see just the team chemistry with, you know, with Captain Frank the Tank on the bench there, getting so fired up. I love seeing that as well, and the whole team behind. You had Adil Shamaz in there coaching as well, who was part of the team when I was as well. So it was really just cool to see them all come together, and they looked extremely impressive. And, you know, they're going to that final stage now in Malaga, so it's going to be a real interesting thing to see how that plays out. But, yeah, it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, super fun to watch. Fun team. Yeah, I hope to be there in Malaga as well, covering them. I feel like they, you know, I talked to, as I said before, Diallo and Galarneau, the newer team, Canada teammates, and they, you know, are coming out of college. So I felt like they told me beforehand, you know, the Davis Cup in college, they got that similar team vibe. And
but it's a different level. Like, you know, I experienced college tennis. It's the most incredible experience ever. But take college tennis and amplify that by 10 to playing for your country in that atmosphere. It's something you can't explain. Just being there in that moment and playing for your country, when that national anthem starts at the beginning and you're standing on that court, you get goosebumps. Like, it's an incredible feeling. Yes, you're playing for your universities and your teammates, but now you're playing for your teammates and your country is a different ball game. And for those guys, like, that's an amazing experience, and they've experienced playing for a team. But again, this is a whole nother level. But I'm just happy that they were being able to be part of it and actually got to play some matches. So that was awesome. Good experience.
Amazing experience for them. Totally. So I'm looking forward to that's a fun Team Canada right now. I'm looking forward to their next match, or in November then in Malaga there. So Jesse, I know you got to run, so thank you.
I appreciate you having me. I look forward to following you in the future on the Slice. I'm excited to see what you guys do next, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, of course. We'll get you on again, and this is North of the Net on the Slice.